Yo, what's going on everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go discussion video. Alright, so I'm recording this video right after Gumi Community Day, and I'll admit I'm extremely exhausted because I actually went pretty hard for this Community Day. The reason for that is because Gumi is one of my favorite pseudo-legendaries, but also we had a triple Stardust bonus. So I wanted to take full advantage of that and catch as many Gumis as I can. But I also forgot to put on a star piece, so I missed out on a lot of Stardust, and I'm really kicking myself for that, but at the very least, I still had a lot of fun. But yeah, I still had some thoughts regarding community days, and I have a couple of concerns that I really hope Niantic addresses. I don't know if it was just this particular community day, considering that it was a pseudo-legendary community day and I just expected there to be a lot more active engagement, but I really started to feel like community days are starting to fall off. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but I've been starting to get very concerned regarding community days because Niantic hasn't really done much with them. Like, sure, they've added a lot to community days recently and they've certainly made them more accessible, but I still feel like when it comes to community days, they're just not that relevant anymore. I don't know if it's because of the Pokemon that they've been selecting, maybe it's the moves that they're giving the Pokemon for community days, but for the last several ones, I feel like the overall community excitement has started to decline, and this is not good because when it comes to community days, they've always been a staple form of gameplay when it comes to Pokemon Go. It's kind of like the one thing that players are always looking forward to. It's kind of one of those things that actively drives engagement, but because they've started to fall off, I feel like in turn, the entirety of Pokemon Go has started to fall off because players that typically are inactive, except for community days, they're remaining inactive when it comes to those community days. And it's been kind of a concern. Maybe I'm completely off base. Maybe the numbers that Niantic are looking at are completely different, but at least within my local communities, it seems like the excitement around community days have really drastically declined. And for me, that is a huge concern because I always felt like community days have always been the safe form of content. No matter what the Pokemon is, no matter how relevant the Pokemon is, or even how crummy the move that they give it, people always go pretty hard on community days. But this time around, it didn't seem that way. It didn't feel like I saw a lot of the usual people that go out for community days. I really am concerned that this is a sign that Pokemon Go is starting to decline. I've been saying this for the last couple of videos, but I really feel like Pokemon Go is starting to reach a tipping point when it comes to how excited or how actively engaged players are. Yes, there's going to be a lot of people who are still very positive about Pokemon Go, and I'm really happy for that. But I feel like the overall sentiment around Pokemon Go is that people are just starting to get tired of the game. Maybe the grind is just too much. Maybe, I don't know, there's just not enough being offered for players. And yeah, at this point, I feel like Niantic needs to do something because I think community days are in a good place in terms of gameplay. Even though I'm an advocate for the 6-hour duration, I think by shortening it back down to 3 hours, but also including the special raids afterwards was a good compromise. But I do feel like Niantic needs to do more. I think even with a triple Stardust bonus, a lot of players were just not actively engaged, so they need to come up with something else. It's not just about the Pokemon anymore, it's not just about the bonuses anymore. Niantic needs to do something with community days to entice players to actively engage with them once again. I think a good thing that they could do is add more ways to get yourself high IV shinies in community days. I think that would be a good way to get players more interested. This is one of the reasons why I advocate so hard for limited research days, because I think they're a lot more exciting because you end up with higher IVs. But when it comes to community days, I don't think a lot of players care because either they already have the shiny, or they don't like the move, or they feel like the only reason why you would ever want to go all out for community days is because you could get yourself high IV shinies. For myself, I ended up with a 98% Gumi, and I was really excited about that. A 98% shiny Gumi, rather. And that was probably the big highlight for this one community day, even though I was not looking for a high IV. I was just mainly focusing on picking up as many shinies as I could and as much Stardust as I could, but I ended up with a 98%, and I was pretty happy about that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things that Niantic needs to relook at. I mean, community days, like I said, have always been kind of a staple form of gameplay in Pokemon Go, but because they're starting to fall off, I'm starting to feel like Pokemon Go is starting to fall off, and I'm really concerned about that. Maybe they need to diversify all of the different events. Maybe every single month they should have a limited research day. They should have a raid day every single month. At the end of this month, we have Elite Raid Days featuring Mega Rayquaza, and it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of the player excitement. I see a lot of players that are super excited about it, but there's also some players who are just indifferent about it, and I think that's not a good thing because Mega Rayquaza is so relevant. Like, it's one of the strongest, if not the strongest Mega Evolution currently in the game, but players are still not necessarily caring about it because it's an Elite Raid Day. I think what they should do is have regular raid days interspersed within all the community days and all the different weekend events. I feel like every weekend should have some sort of special event, and I say that primarily because I want to see more engagement, because having raid days, having limited research days, as well as the community days and community day classics, I feel like there should always be something for players to do every single weekend. And there should be some sort of opportunity that players should have towards getting high IV shinies, or even rare shinies rather. So yeah, these are just some of the thoughts that I've had. I feel like with this particular community day, it was a lot less exciting than I thought it would be. I think there was a lot less players actively engaged with this community day compared to what I thought it would be. And I had a lot of concerns because of that. So yeah, I hope Niantic is also having these same concerns and they're planning to do something special. Because yeah, I've been very concerned about Pokemon Go for the last couple of years. Ever since the pandemic ended, I feel like Pokemon Go has started to see drastic declines. Part of that I do feel like is because of some of the decisions that Niantic have been making, right? Like for the last several videos, I've been talking about how the remote raid pass nerf has negatively affected Pokemon Go in so many different ways almost a year later. And of course, there's a lot of other things that Niantic has been doing that players just simply do not care about. So yeah, I think Niantic needs to take a deep, hard look at what the community is asking for and then readjust and course correct, because Pokemon Go is kind of reaching a tipping point. It's kind of reaching a point where players just simply do not care about the game anymore. And the only thing that players are looking forward to at this point are stuff like Pokemon Go Fest and Go Tour, and that's not sustainable. Niantic needs to come up with something that's regular forms of content that players can get excited about. And I really do not know what that could be. Maybe it just comes down to having better community day Pokemon. I really do not know, but yeah, I'm just really concerned. I really hope things change for the better because yeah, this community day was very concerning. It was very concerning to say the least. Just not a lot of players were out and about. The weather was really nice. The Pokemon, even though the move was crummy, I still felt like because it was a pseudo-legendary, you would expect more people. And it was a triple Stardust community day, so there was a lot of things going well for this community day, but people just didn't care. And yeah, I think that's a sign that things are not going well for Pokemon Go. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts after this community day. It's kind of like a post-mortem. Again, I personally had a lot of fun, even though I forgot to put on a start piece because, you know, yeah, aside from that one little thing, I had a lot of fun. I, of course, got a 98% shiny, so naturally that's going to create a very positive feeling towards a community day, but I still felt like even if I did not get that, I still would have had a lot of fun because, yeah, it was a lot of Goomies and a lot of Stardust. So I thought that was pretty cool, but not a lot of players agree with me, and I think that's concerning. But yeah, let me know your thoughts regarding everything I talked about down below. Do you disagree with me? Do you feel like community days are actually in a good place? Do you feel like there should be some things that Niantic could do to make them better? I would like to know what that is. And yeah, definitely share them down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a shout out to every single patron on my Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the best way you could do so is by clicking on the links in the description below. One of them will take you to my Patreon page. And if you become a paid Patreon member, you will get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, you could do so by following me on social media. If you go to any of the platforms that you see on screen, you could find me at Jinsula. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.